based on Crawley,
semi-automatic firearms
which is
are saying
just
all
a
now
few minutes
meet
drive away from
the
Gatwick Airport.
definition
But
of
it
a
doesn't
weapon
sound like the
that can
story
be
is
readily
ending there. They're
restored
asking
to
the public if they've got any
more than
photos or if they
one
know anything
shot
else to get
with
in
a
touch.
single
But it's
function
anyone's
of
guess
the trigger.
as to whether
Like
the
on a
police
clock.
have all the culprits responsible for the destruction. I
can
guess
just
any
make
time
a
will
little
tell.
adjustment to the impact that goes on the clock, and with one pull of the trigger goes through the whole magazine. So that means that Glocks could all be banned.
That's been in that is new language.
That is part of the new language.
But it wouldn't be legal to do that, though.
It says this new rule. No, it would not.
I mean, for you to make that modification.
It would not.
But he's saying that the law was saying that if it's capable of doing that, they're going to ban it.
Yeah, so that means just about any semi-automatic
If that's the
firearm.
case, it opens the door up for
Well, here's what it says. This new ruling is almost certainly going to survive the legal challenges being brought against it. I see it as a highly improbable that those challenges will be successful at doing anything more than possibly delaying
The Franklin County
enforcement
Sheriff's
of
Office
the
this
new
week captured
restrictions
2
for
escaped
short
prisoners on the run
firearms
from
by getting
Kentucky.
some compensation
ABC 6's
from
Brian
our
Badger
owners
with
who
the
are
story.
forced to destroy their devices.
Constitutional, and enacting it would prompt a costly and unsuccessful court battle. Kasich did sign a second abortion bill that outlaws dilation and evacuation abortions, which is a common second trimester abortion method, one that has been
Have you seen what they're doing with those lasers now? They're doing
and quickly was going for the second shot. That first shot could have been a squib load, and he wouldn't have picked up on that quick enough, you know, in the heat of the hunt.
Yeah, right.
So, my father, co-owner, sits to my left. Papa, you know, I was thinking before the show today, have you heard Frontier Christmas yet this year?
You know what? I have not, but you
I
know
know.
what? It probably does not now meet the requirements of PC.
Probably does not.
That's true.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Yep.
you know, and I would only hear it on WTVN. and
Right.
So I don't know whether they're going to play it or not. you
I know. Well, if you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. It's at 610wtvn.com, or it's also on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Podcasts. That's where I've been listening to it because you go right there, it pops right up, easy to listen to. Facebook, it is the video is always out there. It's Facebook Live, so you can see things as it's happening. Had a little bit of issue with sound. It might be up again right now, Ronnie. I'm not sure. But we will get that resolved here in the coming weeks. And actually, Papa, the big news here, I don't know if I told you this or not, but that upgrade that we talked about on the connection is coming. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
that's
you
gonna be a
worked
game
out.
changer.
So you worked out the details, huh?
We work out the details. If you need to email us throughout the week, OnTarget at lepd.com is the email address, the number. Call us anytime during the show, 614-821-WTVN. Guys, we have, JC, do you have a quick story before the break?
Wait, there's so many stories out there right now. You want to say the bumps?
Yeah, we'll say that one.
Saving that one. Okay. Here's a good one. It's a quick one too. Guess what? The panel finally got done at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, which almost, unfortunately, seems like old news. I'm certain it's not to the families involved. But the commission finally got done with their report. They released their draft report last Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the week ago. And what they decided was they need to have more guns in the school. That they said the teachers or someone needs to be armed in there. And that is not what the politicians and the OEA were looking for. But they said that they needed more than a couple of armed security people or teachers to head off another shooting. So that was the official report that came
That was
off.
surprising.
Yeah,
I mean, it's surprising they came up with
that they came up and they released that.
especially when we
Right.
talk about some of this other stuff in the next segment.
But remember, they call it the draft report. So as soon as the politicians get a hold of it,
Yeah.
I'm certain that tune may change. But the professionals, that's what they decided.
When we get back from the break, Ronnie will have the gun of the week. Actually, it might be several out there sitting on our table. We're also going to get to some other news that is so very important that happened this week, nationally and locally. We're on target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Okay, so on the, hey, Eric, one thing that I would like to try with that is can we unravel the back so that there's a certain amount of straight cabling the front and exit? Because they said that we still don't have any.
It's showing sound now.
Show, and they all work.
Oh, on there? Okay.
Well, you better get one.
This is the
We had
charge of it. Just hey, one is not enough, two is not enough.
Wow. Yeah. So, hey, when we get back, let's even if we push the gun of the week a little bit, let's do the bump stock bands. And, well, here, can you just quickly do the safety veto and say, that it may or may not go through, and let's go right to bump stock.
To call your
Yes.
representative.
Hey, Ronnie, we'll probably pick the gun of the week for 130.
I don't even know what the gun is.
It's not my choice,
You got a tip there for me?
although I would take any one of those except that blue.
Awesome.
Sean Boy.
Hey, Popo, he said he doesn't even think he has Frontier Christmas.
Yeah, probably not.
What is Frontier Christmas?
What's the old?
That's
Hudson and Landry.
That's what Bob Connors used to play. He's the first
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today, mostly cloudy and cold. Few morning flurries are possible, high of 38. For tonight, dry and chilly, low of 30. For Sunday, cloudy with scattered afternoon showers likely, high of 40. It's currently a chilly 34 degrees on your severe weather station News Radio 610 WTVN.
Reports at the top in 30 minutes past. Breaking news at once. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Now wait a second, guys. I hate to do this, but I don't. Are we sure that Frosty was a snowman?
I think Frosty was
a snow person.
gender specific, non.
I know, you don't know.
Yeah, it depends where you put the carrot.
That's what I heard.
Real nice. Now,
No, I'm sure that's politically correct.
yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't get buzzed on that one, John. By the way, that hearty laugh you heard while Eric was trying to do the weather was our big guy over there running.
Well, yeah,
Do you think anybody heard that? Could you hear that in your?
a little bit. That's Ronnie from Boom Boom Tactical.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
the gunsmith.
Yeah.
And that's who I'm sitting with today, right next to JC from the sales team, my father and co-owner, Phil.
You know,
That was the boom boom of
that was a boom boom. I
Tactical.
take exception to one thing, Eric. You put this big bag in front of me. I bet you I don't even
I
show
can't
up on the
see.
camera.
You don't. I can't
don't.
see your
Which
face
is
or
all right.
anything.
Oh, slide it that way a little bit.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, you move it a little.
Actually, I think Lori put that there.
Well, she had it over there, but it was going to be in Ronnie's way.
Yeah, I see.
So, guys, two big things happened this week. One, right here in Ohio, the bill that was out there that was on the governor's desk that would have had some provisions in there, many provisions actually. One that would have helped with the language on these TAC-14 and shockwave shotguns, but more importantly, the duty to retreat, which was taken out of there. But it was
The big thing is right now, we're the only state in the union has a law like this where you are guilty and have to prove yourself innocent if you use any type of a firearm to defend yourself. And that would have made it just what it should be. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And that was, to me, the main crux of the bill was to the burden of proof shifts to a prosecutor, not to you having to prove your innocence. So that was really big. But Kasich vetoed it, the bill. They even took out that
Well,
stand your ground thing.
he said he would.
Well, he said-
Yeah.
But they took it out so he wouldn't. But no. You know, on the front page of the Columbus Dispatch here on December 20th, that's Thursday, the quote is, "I'm a Second Amendment guy," okay? And then
Yeah.
right off the bat, his next quote further down says, "Why would I sign a bill that gives more power to gun advocates?" So it's the gun advocates that are out there looking for our rights. But here's the glitch on this. It can be overridden. Everyone says, "Hey, it can be." Well, we have very limited time. It's got to be overridden by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And in the paper, you put in the last, it says both chambers may have the 3/5 majority needed to override Kasich's veto, but only if enough of the members show up after Christmas to do it. And they said in the Senate, for example, if one yes vote fails to show up, then they lose that majority. And that one person alone could not show up for some reason, and all of a sudden the veto does not get overridden, and it would roll over until next
You know
year
what you
we
see?
start it again.
They have a responsibility to show up.
And really,
They're working for us, and how often did you have to show up for work when you just didn't really feel like it or want to? They need to show up. It's been going on too
Hey,
long.
here we are today.
Right.
So, our
don't
friends,
care.
the Buckeye Firearms, if you don't know who to contact, they have, you just put in your address and they tell you the person you need to contact from the Senate and representatives right there. If you don't know, just call them, give them notes, say,
Right.
look, show up, we really need this. This is really important for the citizens of Ohio.
Something else that came up this week, guys, from a national level. We kind of knew it was coming. It's been kind of a year in the making, but coming down from the White House. As of last week, 90 days from last week, bump stocks, or that was commonly referred to as bump stocks, slide fire stocks, were going to be illegal. They're going to be considered a machine gun by definition, and if you have one in your possession, you have to destroy it or drop it off at a local ATF office.
I mean, think about that.
And
You
all
have
the
to
bad guys are going to do that, right? All the
Well,
bad guys.
here's the thing. We've researched it. I mean, obviously, we're not researching, and we don't have every avenue out there. But the one crime has been committed with it. Obviously, a heinous crime. But there's a lot of people, a lot of experts who know firearms, who say that if the gentleman in Vegas didn't have the bump stock, it probably would have been worse.
If it would have been actually aiming instead of
Right.
just
Right.
spraying.
If you had any, skills about you to be able to use a scope, it probably would have been worse than spraying and praying like he did. It's unbelievable that we're to a point where people think that something like this is going to affect change, and and we've talked about it a lot here. It's not that the gun advocates, that us sitting around the table, are big bump stock fans. It's a novelty. I personally could take it or leave it, but it's what surrounds this. It's the slippery slope, and there is definitely reason for concern. Ronnie, what was the language in it that we were talking about?
Well, the language is is basically that it opens up a new venture or a new avenue of attack for anti-gun people, because it specifically says that any gun that can be readily restored to shoot more than one shot at a single function. Well, if it weren't against the law, there's not too many firearms that we sell, semi-automatic firearms that we sell, that I couldn't readily make
Illegal modifications.
illegal modifications to make it an automatic, which means that something as simple as a Glock 19 could conceivably be banned because of this wording.
Or it has the potential down the road. I mean,
Yeah.
and who knows, who's to say now that it doesn't get to the point where, well, you do a trigger job on your gun to help with the accuracy, then now you've made it, in essence, easier to shoot. Is that banned? It's crazy because it's not going to have any effect on violence.
And what they do, and this is what I just hate about this, but it's very clever. They focus on the bump stock. But how long was this law? 157 pages. You don't need that to say we're going to ban bump stock. They include all these other little
Which
nuances
makes
in
me
there
wonder,
that could
where-
later be interpreted.
Where did this come
and,
from?
well,
How did he
157
get
pages.
involved with it?
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's just and the other thing too. How about all the estimated 500,000 ones that are out there? How about all the people who bought them legally? I mean, with the there's no, you're just destroying them now. Forget about the money. And then wait for this, guys. On page 144, Ronnie, I don't know if you saw this on there. Guess how much over a 10-year period the ATF is estimating it's going to cost the government, us taxpayers, to put this in place and to destroy the ones that were turned in. $312 million. $312 million. How
For
about
something
we?
that was used once?
How
And it's
about
only been used once in the
Right.
United States.
We take that money
Once.
and put it
put it to security?
to security or
Help-
to
Put it to fixing our roads.
a database for stolen guns.
Exactly, Ronnie.
Something that
how-
would actually make a difference.
We've talked about 500,000 stolen guns a year, and a huge portion coming from stores. How about we put a little investment back in stores to help them secure themselves?
And
So
why
time
do
and
they
again,
sell, or why do they steal them? So they can sell them. I mean,
It's just
hello.
crazy. It's just, if it made sense, and if this was, I'm the first one to stand in line to say, hey, look, if this is what's causing the crime on our streets, by all means, we have to do what we have to do. But this is so crazy. It's not going to do anything. It's checking the box.
And we've said it many times, there's no way we, as a store, can check to see if any firearm is stolen that comes in. So it's
Right.
there's just no way we can do it.
No.
There's no database.
I mean,
And
the
it's
bump
crazy.
stock themselves, we did a story this week with Channel 4. We've never allowed them on the range. They're too inaccurate. You can't control them. Again, a novelty,
serve any
but that's not,
purpose.
but the point is the slippery slope, and we can't, what's next? And when you see some of the stuff that is being proposed out there, it's
Oh, yeah.
craziness.
Yeah, this is
so,
just craziness.
it's so you can't just let something like this just slide by.
And
And,
re-
oh, good one.
Huh?
just,
Hey,
yeah, that was very good.
and are we going to talk about the mayor?
Well,
yeah.
we're going to get to that, but I
Yes,
just want to
but-
remind people, it's 90 days from the publication in the Federal Register, but you will have an illegal machine gun if you own one of these. So
Right.
don't just go poo-poo about it. It'd be the
Right.
same thing as finding a Thompson in your car or something. I mean,
Right, exactly.
It's a federal offense.
And if you've got one, I'd be happy to take it off your
To destroy it?
firearm and destroy it. Oh, I have some interesting ways to destroy it.
So, guys, before we go, we have, we're going to try this. I hate to put him on hold. We have Santa on the line, apparently.
Santa?
What?
Whoa.
He called in last
Don't keep
year.
him on hold.
I know.
Glad I'm not putting
Oh, wait,
him on
listen, guys.
How you guys doing?
Oh, Santa, better now.
Is that Santa?
That sounds like Big Santa.
Wow.
This big Santa.
Well,
I've
is it?
been waiting and waiting. You keep me waiting, and I've got so many things to do, Eric.
Santa, that was Eric.
Yeah, that wasn't us,
I
Santa.
know. Very long-winded today.
Get that call ready for him.
And Santa, we were wondering, has Phil been good?
You feeling better?
Always been good.
Oh, Phil's been good. All right.
Santa's
See, I told you.
hitting the
Told you.
eggnog.
Santa, are you ready for the big night?
I am. I've got some things I've got to finish up here, but I'm going to be ready to go at about midnight with no problem.
Wonderful.
It just slays me to hear your voice.
Well,
Sure, we come over and see you there at 999 Bethel Road,
Right.
the LEPD.
yeah.
How will you get in, Santa? There's an alarm.
Wait a minute, Santa's magic.
I'm very, very talented.
Well, Santa, we know your time is short, and we need to get to the bottom of the hour news, unfortunately. Probably news that we probably don't want to hear anyways. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We look forward to safe travels for you this week.
Absolutely. You all be good, and I'll see you shortly.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Santa.
The big guy, Santa. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about RMRs and some stories. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range.
Hi, we're the Gore family, owners of Blackwing. That's right, Blackwing is family-owned and
What does that mean to our guests?
it means we're flexible. We listen and adjust to the needs of our guests.
Mark, what else does that mean?
It means their hard-earned money stays right here in their community because we support many local non-profit organizations and businesses.
Why? Because we care about you and our community.
Let us take you under our wing, because that's what family is for.
Isn't it time to visit the family? We'll see you soon at Blackwing.
If you're in the market for high-end kitchen knives, tactical blades, or shaving supplies, go to where the professionals shop. River's Edge Cutlery. Conveniently located in Hilliard, you'll find some of the best knives from Spyderco, Microtech, Benchmade, and much more. Their one-on-one service and commitment to helping you find the right knife for your needs is unsurpassed. Stop by and see your friends at River's Edge Cutlery. That's riversedgecutlery.com. Recommended by LEPD Firearms.
News, traffic, and weather for Columbus. News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio 610 WTVN. I'm Sean Gallagher. Ohio Governor John Kasich has signed part of the Reagan-Tokes Act, which gives state prison officials greater discretion in releasing or keeping offenders behind bars based on their prison track record. The bill, introduced in the state Senate, is named in honor of Ohio State student Reagan Tokes, who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered after she left work in February 2017. Part of the bill will require the Adult Adopt Guidelines for Adult Parole Authority to study the feasibility of certain GPS monitoring functions and calls for longer sentencing for offenders who violate rules while in prison. The Attorney General will also be required to create and maintain a statewide tracking system for the processing of sexual assault examination kits. Your ABC6 first warning weather forecast today, mostly cloudy, a high of 38. Tonight, dry and chilly with a low of 30. I'm Sean Gallagher for breaking news and weather alerts instantly. Follow us on Twitter at 610 WTVN News.
This is Eric with LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. If you're a business owner in need of a personalized gift for your employees this season, CNS is great. One-stop shopping for all your employees. From promotional items to customized products to unique OCS gifts, partners with local CNS is simply the best in Central Ohio. Want to make your firearm unique? Or do you need an IFA item engraved? Do what we do and call our good friends at CNS Engraving. 614-925-2726. Come see their work at LAPD or stop by their storefront in Powell.
Are you thinking about making your first firearm purchase, or do you have your collection? Stop by and check out over 200 used firearms in stock at LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility on Bethel Road. From modern pistols, old revolvers, to classic rifles, you'll find a wide variety with inventory changing daily. Check out their current used inventory at LEPD.com or stop by the store and experience the best holster selection in Central Ohio. Great deals are waiting for you at LEPD, 999 Bethel Road, or on the web at LEPD.com.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios with JC from the sales team, my father, co-owner Phil, to my left, Ronnie from Boom Boom Tactical, to my far right, Santa was on the line before the break. You know, it's always good to hear from him. You know, you'll worry about the craziness of the world if he's all right. It's always good to hear
Why
him.
do we only hear from him once a year, though?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
That is, we should have asked him
I
that.
wonder what he's packing. I wonder what he's packing nowadays. He goes into some really bad areas.
I know. Well, hey guys, before we go any further, we talked about our sponsors at the beginning, and I talked about a visit this week that I can't talk about too much, but my good buddy, Mike, from River's Edge is on the line with us.
Ah.
Are you there, Mike?
Yep, I'm here.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you guys?
We are great. How are you guys staying busy out there?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been pretty good for us this holiday season.
Good. Do you have any good sales going on as we get into Christmas?
Sure do. Yeah, everything, from kitchen knives to shaving, outdoor stuff, we've got a lot of good sales going on.
Yeah, and you talk about shaving, Mike. I mean, I know we don't think about that very often in regards to a knife store. Well, obviously, the two guys around the table have not thought about it for a while. But you have, some of the professional shaving equipment there that, the real deal. We're not talking the stuff you buy at the big box store.
We're not talking about a really sharp Spyderco or something like that.
Well, that too.
Rubbing across your face,
That'll work too.
Do you have a lot of guys coming in, or is it mainly like the barber shops and stuff that you sell to in that regards?
No, the stuff we have over here at River's Edge, this is for the everyday guy. From soaps from all over the world, different blades, different kind of, from straight razors to safety razors. So there's stuff really for every guy. There's just so much stuff out there, and we have a pretty good selection of it here.
That's great. And you also have some tactical clothing as well, correct? Or bags and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Vertex is one of the big brands we carry. It's all CCW in mind when they design all this stuff. Really good stuff. It's made, they're based out of Cincinnati down here, and it's a really good company.
Great. Well, definitely, if you haven't already been there this holiday season, it's worthwhile stopping at River's Edge. Tell us, Mike, where you're located out there again.
Sure, yeah, we're at 3935 Truman Boulevard out here in Hilliard, right in the Mill Run area.
Right in the middle, by Home Depot, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Great. Well, great to hear from you. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to stop by. And it is definitely worth a visit there, not just this week, but anytime. You can just go in there and just look around. There is always something you walk out with there. I know I do. So good to hear from you, Mike. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
All right, guys. Mike Kent, River's Edge Cutlery, definitely a neat place. Used to be up on Sawmill Road years ago. That's where I first ran into him.
Wow, that's good.
So,
Great company, great store.
Great company. JC, there was one story you want to hit real quick here that is just, talk about outrageous.
But it's outrageous, and this just isn't, like a weird one. This is actually a major city. This is Pittsburgh. The mayor of Pittsburgh declares his intent to ban guns. He wants but he's promoting other cities to take it up regardless. He said this guy's named Mayor William Peduto, I guess, Peduto. He called for municipalities throughout the country to ignore state statutes. Ignore what the law says, ignore what your representatives say, just go ahead and do this. And he's released something.
Federal.
Yeah, state and federal statutes. He wants to ban, all guns, but he gave his criteria for what he considers assault, that's his term of what prohibited rifles, prohibited pistols, prohibited shotguns, and wants them just, confiscated basically. He said it would be unlawful to manufacture, sell, purchase, transport, carry, store, or hold in your possession a firearm, what he describes as an assault weapon. But some of the criteria, just if it has a pistol grip, and that all of a sudden makes two of these.
It says on that, it says a pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously. So if it just protrudes, is it
not
okay?
Conspicuously, yeah. Who knows?
Right. But here's the thing, guys, too. It just continues to be the craziness that we're seeing. There's a lot of people talking now that this year the gun rhetoric is going to ramp back up. Listen to this. You talk about the unlawfulness of things that are going out there from politicians. Did you guys see, this came out from one of the largest sheriff's department in California. I think it was in the LA area. This week he said that they are going to begin physically removing ICE agents from their jail facility if they're there to come to arrest illegals.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to work. I wonder how that's going to work.
Armed officers.
Physically removing. And that comes right on the heels of this thing that just came out of Missouri. An illegal immigrant killed 3 after a sanctuary release.
So the sanctuary said he released the
Released.
immigrant.
They wouldn't hold him for ICE, as requested. Wouldn't even let ICE know when he was released
They
on
should all be
charges.
sued individually.
And he went out and
they
Killed 3 people.
Killed 3 people.
It's just,
That's
it's
what
incredible.
Those people be accessories then, or something?
It should be.
It should
Yeah.
be. I mean, they should be.
What law enforcement official comes out and says we're going to physically remove federal agents doing their job enforcing the law?
Somebody who is
the law.
showboating you know, just getting on the political bandwagon that is showboating, yeah.
Whatever happened to enforcing the laws you were
It's the
sworn
law.
to do?
Yeah.
They call them illegal aliens for a reason. They're illegal.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's just craziness.
It's just craziness.
So guys, on a fun note, it's so easy to get wrapped up to all this. It is. Okay. So you may have seen it on a friend's pistol or on the guy next to you shooting in the booth, and you may have thought to yourself, do I really need one of these? Well, believe it or not, the RMRs that we're going to talk about today are showing up in CHL holders' hands. They're showing up in law enforcement hands as far as their duty guns. So it is something that's not going away.
And that should tell you something right there.
That should tell you something. So today we're going to talk about, demystify a little bit about what is the RMR. And JC, I figured you can give us a 2-second. Okay, 3 second.
Try to not call them RMRs. That's
Right.
solely Trigicon. They're very, very expensive. They're very good, but there are many, many, many other companies. I mean, the Vortex calls theirs the Venom. So that would be an equivalency. We have many different ones. What a reflex sight is, there is a dot projected in the bottom of the sight, and it is projected forward and reflected off of the lens. That's why they call them reflex sights, because they reflect this dot. And depending on the hole that's drilled in, that gives the size of the dot, and the dot sizes are usually given in MOA, minute of angle. And just to give you a little clip notes, so you can look at this. They come from 1 all the way up into like 8 on some of the pistols that I've seen. A 1 would cover 1 inch at 100 yards. That would be great for really, really long-range accurate shooting, but that's probably not what you need, and it'd be pretty hard to take a look at when you're just snapping the pistol up. So if you had a 4 dot, so 4 inches at 100 yards, it'd be 2 inches at 50 yards, and it'd be 1 inch at 25 yards. You get the idea. So bigger dots are easier for defense to see. So when you choose, don't buy until you've looked through them. So the online shopping is kind of tough because you really want to see what the size of that dot is on that screen. But that's the one type, and the other type is a holographic dot sight, and the only one that makes those is EOTechs, and they're a little more expensive.
Well, they also, the red dot itself is a general term because there's actually 3 different types. In a prism sight, a holographic sight, and the reflex sight, which I think is probably the most popular is the reflex sight.
Because the prism sight's a tube, so they're long, like a little short scope, so those aren't as popular.
And these are now made by many, many manufacturers. We have here Sightmark is sitting on our counter. Obviously, Trigicon's a big player in it.
Sig Sauer's been really popular.
Bushnell,
Burris.
This is incredible. A Walther PPS with a little RMS, as they call it, C, but I like this.
Yes,
I mean, that is...
I know. But what type of holster is law enforcement now going to have to get?
It's starting to catch up.
And basically, the holsters just have a slot cut in the spine that allows the sight to fit. It's
Either
really a pretty
that,
simple
or like a 3-eye holster does, a cover that comes over the front and protects it.
But do you remember how I was critical about the holsters that we had because it had to accommodate a flashlight on the front of the gun? Now we got something that's protruding out the back.
And the thing about these, where the draw is for these, is they're intended to be shot with both eyes open. They're intended to make a good shooter out of someone who maybe not a good shooter, because all you're doing is putting that dot. Now this doesn't project on the target. It's not a laser. It is simply
it's reflected off the screen back into your eye.
And when you first get it, I think that's the one thing that you have to learn to do is to shoot it with both eyes open. And when you do that, that's incredible for situational awareness.
I will tell you, I struggle with it. My eyes go to the sights,
It doesn't take long though, but that's a good thing because when your eyes go to the sights first, you find the red dot immediately.
Yeah, but you know,
which is nice.
But again, I tell people practice point shooting. Point shooting, because that's what you're going to do.
This lends itself to that because it's just right there.
Yeah, but you're still going to be trying to get something lined up, aren't you?
But the very cool thing about it is normally you have to focus on your rear sight, you have to focus on your front sight, and you have to focus on the target. With these reflex sights, you focus on the target. So acquisition is so much quicker. I started using them probably 2 years ago or so, and have gotten to the point where I just don't like firearms with Howard.
So it's really changing it. And another thing, as the shooting population may get a little older here, they say most importantly, red dots are easier on your eyes. You don't have to shift to that, as Ronnie said.
So
probably
Phil, you
target.
should
It's
really
easier,
like that.
and they're very accurate and safe. The smaller dots, if you're into long-range shooting or hunting, you do want a small dot. They're very, very accurate.
And another thing to keep in mind is just like, you know, with certain reticles and stuff, you know, a 1 MOA dot is going to be great for long distance and pinpoint shooting. And then when you get to the 3 MOA and the 6 MOA, the 6 MOA is really nice if you have a pistol and you shoot it for self-defense and stuff like that, because it's got a bigger dot, so the dots, you know, if you see a laser, the dot's dancing all over the place. Well, with 6 MOA, that's not the case. And it takes up most of your target, so it's not trying.
You're right, and that's a good point, Ronnie. It's a
Yeah.
good, you know, it's kind of the same reason that the Trigicon HD sights have come out with the big front sight.
Yeah.
It's not good for bullseye shooting, you know, covering the whole target. But I tell you what, you can acquire that quickly and put it right where you need to.
And the holographic sights, they're more expensive, they are more accurate, that's why the military uses them. They can use them for long-range shooting with pinpoint accuracy, so, but EOTech's only one of them.
We're talking about the big influx in popularity for the reflex sights. Many different manufacturers out there. If you have a question or if you have a comment, if you have one and you weren't convinced that they were well worth it and you are now convinced, give us a call, 614-821-9886.
Or if you want to see one.
Or
We've got one on a Glock, we've got one on a Walther, we've got one on a SIG.
And we've got several in the case you can pick up and see the size of the dots, and you know, because that really does make a difference.
Yeah.
Ronnie, too, also, you know, you think about this being on an everyday carry, and personally I worry that, it's not rugged enough and everything. These have, the ruggedness to these now are incredible.
You should see the YouTube videos. I mean, they're taking these things and slamming them down on a car mirror and just, you know, operating the slide by use of these. It makes it easier and safer to press check your firearm, you know, taking your firearm, disassembling it, field stripping it, it makes that easy. If you have problems pulling your slide back or cycling your slide because of, you know, arthritis or something in your hands, you can just put your whole hand on that and you just slide the slide right back.
You can.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the bad news. I mean, just the bad news is good ones are going to cost almost as much as your gun, just like a regular scope would on a rifle.
You're right.
Some of these ones cost $500 for a pistol, but you can get them into the $120 range.
Right, and the sight marks here are 149 that are very solid. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the batteries for them. How long do these last? Are you always changing batteries? It's really neat what they've come out with now. It's actually incredible. So you won't want to miss that when we talk about the application for the rifle as well. We're on target, and we're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, this is Paul Hall from OnTarget. Around the store, I'm known as the tough guy and the enforcer. I usually don't do commercials. However, when it comes to our new sponsor, Toyota West, I told Eric this is all mine. Since the late 1980s, I have been going to Toyota West for all of my new car and truck purchases. We are located at 270 in Georgesville Road. My main man there is Dean and has been with the dealership over 13 years. That's got to say something for the caliber, excuse the pun, and experience you'll find at Toyota West. In the market for a new or used vehicle? There, Eric.
Looking to turn your basement into something beautiful.
You there, Mr. Bob?
I am. Let's see, 34 degrees. Part out is 5750.
All right, can we just go into rush again today?
Yeah.
That's what Scott always lets us do.
Go into rush, sure.
Yeah, just about an hour.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. I was saying we go into rush right after the top of the hour.
Oh yeah, just go right into it. All right, hey, thank you so much, and I got it on my little ticker here for 5750.
All right, here we go. Weather.
Yep. Here at BC6, first warning weather for today, mostly cloudy and cold. A few morning showers. Geez, how about a few morning flurries? High of 38. Tonight, dry and chilly, low of 30. For Sunday, cloudy with scattered afternoon showers, likely high of 40. It is still 34 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio 610 WTVN, Columbus's news, traffic, and weather station.
Yeah, the generic ones. They're
Did he move them?
they're bulldog, I think. There might be back here, Lauren. Welcome back to the Snoopy special. I always think of Peanuts.
Did they ban Snoopy because
No, I saw
how
it.
they represent Pigpen or something?
I saw
Are
it the
you
other day.
serious?
Yeah.
I saw it on
No,
television
serious.
the other day.
Would it have to be on cable or something now?
No, it was on TV. I thought it
Oh, was it? Okay.
No, I think it was something to do with Franklin.
What's wrong with Franklin?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Ronnie. Right, yeah.
The world is not like it used to be, but we're on target and we're live from LAPD Firearms and Range right here at 999 at Bethel Road. Stop by and see us anytime. If you want to see us in person, you can always catch the podcast that's out there on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Google Play. We're talking about RMRs, the little reflex sights, and Ronnie, we're going into break. We're talking about the battery life. Is this something you got to change batteries in, or when it's ready to use, the battery's going to be dead?
I'll tell you what. That goes exactly to what John was saying. I mean, you get a Trigicon, and you can leave that thing on for 2 years, and the battery won't run out. But then there's others, the less expensive ones, where the battery, you leave it on overnight or something and you're hosed.
Well, it has an on-off switch, and if you don't turn it off, it runs
The battery
So
out.
simple as that.
Now, there's also some cool ones, like some of the Prism red dots, where it will sense the firearm being picked up or moved and immediately come on. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you need your firearm, you don't have to fumble to turn the red dot on.
And now, Ronnie, we're just like we were demoing to that agency, that the one like the new Trigicons, there's no brightness levels. It automatically adjusts to this ambient light on the brightness too.
On the 06. Now the 07, they still make one that has adjustable brightness, but on the 06, the one that you're talking about, it self-adjusts
And
to
there's another
the
one
light.
that will, after you get it adjusted, it will maintain that. You don't have to set it again. You pick it up, it comes on, it will be at the last adjustment that you had. So.
Franklin was sitting by himself at Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Right.
I mean, really.
He has sat by himself for 40 years.
He was on the other side of the table. Something like that.
I've sit by myself every year.
Yeah, my parents always set me at a different table too.
Well, there's a reason for that, Ron.
So, Ronnie, when you go and purchase one of these, are they automatically going to go on your firearm?
No, they are not. And there's different ones on Glocks. Everybody thinks that, well, the Glock comes with the plate and you just slop it on there, but you don't. It requires a small plate and 2 different size screws that go underneath it, which most people don't know about.
And
And who can
every
do
Glock
that?
does that. I mean, the Glocks that the MOS Glocks, the modular optic systems,
Do.
do.
Yeah, but if you have a Glock cut by somebody or something, or get one from, well, even Zev in those places use the plate.
Use the plates.
So, yeah.
So more and more of these are coming with a plate or with a cutout. I know the SIGs do. We're seeing some Walthers, FN, Smith & Wesson.
Yeah, if you want to see a cool version of it, you got to come in and see this Walther. I have in my
Walther
hands.
is just really
This
cool.
is
That's factory.
the epitome of concealed carry with an RMR.
That's a 9, right?
That's a 9, yeah.
And it's
That's
so
absolutely
thin. It's the
really
thinnest
good
pistol. I like it.
And then sharp.
Gun test said that may be the best concealed carry.
Well, you had a chance. You had a chance to ask Santa when he was
I
on
had
the phone.
one. I had one.
Did you really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I
that.
like it.
The other thing, Ronnie, these are becoming popular on rifles as well. Now, it's a little bit smaller window versus some of the other optics.
And shotguns.
And shotguns.
Yeah.
But it is a viable, I mean, I have one on a little rifle that I have, so it is a viable, it's not just for pistols.
Well, just think if you have a shotgun and you've got that little red dot and it's a shockwave and you don't want to put it up right in front of your face, you can, whatever that red dot's on, whether you're looking sideways from the top or what, you're going to hit.
Right.
And the pistols are made small, but the ones for the rifles and the other, they're much larger. It's easier to see
They
the
are.
screen. And I
They
bought
are.
the shotgun. I was just amazed how easy it was to hold that out there. And boom, that dot was right there. And it was
Although
mine.
I prefer the small one. You know, I put them on a little base
True.
and use just the
Yeah.
standard RMR.
I like the big size TV screen. This was 60 inches.
They had those. Yeah, the ones that do infrared and all that.
So if you have questions, stop by. We can certainly help you, any of the guys here. Guys, we are down to the last 45 seconds. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas,
guys. Great
everybody.
spending the last year with you.
Yeah.
There is still a lot of sales going on right here, so if you need one last minute Christmas gift for me, gift cards.
Gift cards are here. They're really popular. We've got small little stocking stuffer flashlights that are just absolutely amazing. The sound flashlight that you just had. These are inexpensive and save someone's life. Great gift.
And Ronnie, we'll kick your gun of the week. We'll let you do one next week.
right.
But you were going to talk about Glocks. We still have a great sale on some Glock 19s, different colors. You get a
$50 off, and you get this range bag that has,
all
you know, if
kinds of
you're a
stuff
new
in it.
shooter and you think, I don't want to buy a gun because I'm going to have to buy a cleaning kit and I'm going to have to buy a, you know, headset. Well, this is everything. Everything you need.
10% off on all used guns to the end of the year. And that's, I mean,
How
great
about
deals there.
any
Great deals.
SIG 320, a free 1-year membership?
Yeah, a free 1 year. That's a $200 membership for free when you buy the gun.
So there's definitely some
Amazing
sales still to be had. Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you for spending the last hour with us, and well wishes to everyone out there for safe travels during the holiday season. We'll be back next week on the other
That's
side.
right. The last show of the year. Yeah.
Yeah,
And John has the gun of the week then.
No,
I
I'm
get
going
to
to
do
do
it.
it.
Oh, okay, so then we, all right.
Yeah, we're going to back up.
I don't have until next year. So that's
A whole year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Being a letter carrier and walking 20,000 steps,
believe
which
they're
equals
Franklin
up to
now.
about 10 miles a day, it's tough. I really didn't have feet problems, I had back
Maybe
problems.
Franklin won the
I
zip line.
had as many epidurals that I could possibly have, and that was scary. Well, I've been delivering letters to the good folks.